let's start with this, bro. You sold skis as a young man. Like you had this entrepreneurial spirit as a young man growing up in your parents' house. How was that cultivated?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for the warm introduction because I'm thinking that this could be the only time we're nice to each other. Could be this particular second. So that was a really nice and warm introduction. I appreciate the kind words. I look forward to only giving you a hard time for the balance of,
I like that,
this podcast.
I go that way.
You know, I want to say one nice thing before the banter really starts. From that point forward, it'll be all fun. White party, I think you've got a lot of work to do. I just want to say that up front.
Yeah, because I was like, Lil Baby, it's me, it's great.
He's not important enough.
Yeah, I mean, these guys maybe, but...
He's not important
You love that
enough.
so much.
Tell him.
I mean, we got to evaluate this. We got to evaluate it. We got to keep him on his toes. All right, so
Y'all
now
probably done with the show. I'm gonna go.
Okay, it's been good seeing you. Look, here's the bottom line. I was a god-awful student. I was a terrible athlete. And like for me, you always go to what you're good at. And there was one thing I was always good at. Like I could work. Like I loved to work. I loved business. I loved selling things. I loved making money. Not because I cared about the money, but for like the sport of it. Because again, you gravitate to what you're good at. So I did start in business literally at like 8 years old. I would go and sell, you know, stationery door to door. I'd have, when it would snow, I'd have 5 people working for me, and I'd like go sell the snow shoveling. By the time I was 12 years old, someone explained to me about how I could kind of fix skis and tune skis. So I started a little ski tuning shop in my parents' basement. And by the time I was 14, as crazy as this sounds, I actually ran a ski shop in a shopping center about 10 minutes from my parents' house.
Mike Ski and Sport, right?
Mike Ski and Sport. And by the way, by the time I was 16, I almost went bankrupt. And so I'd seen it up and seen it down before I was even legal to do most things. So, you know, for me, but it gets back to like, you do what you love doing, and I always love business.
That story just hit on that where you were 14 and made, I think, $25,000 or something. And then the story is you were 15, you bought a Porsche. And it's funny to hear you say you went bankrupt at 16.
It could have had to do with buying the Porsche first.
I was gonna say, did you learn the lesson?
I have a friend of mine, if they hear this, will know who they are, who has they have a Lamborghini Jeep, and I make fun of them all the time, saying like that Lamborghini Jeep is probably like 5% of your net worth, and like maybe you shouldn't buy a Lamborghini Jeep. Well, the Porsche at that point was probably like 150% of my net worth. But at 15, you know, I had to make some of those mistakes early. But you know, look, for me, I had real early success. I ran a ski shop at 15 years old. I probably did $500,000 in business that year.
Wow.
Probably made 100 grand, okay? And then I got cocky. And then, you know, there's this thing about the ski business. Like, if you sell skis, it's kind of helpful if it snows, okay? So, like, when it didn't snow, the year I was 16, I ended the year and literally I had $80,000 of inventory. I had this Porsche, which we paid about, it was a used Porsche, I think like $40,000 for. And then I had about $200,000 of liabilities. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I probably got sued 100 times in the spring of when I was 16 years old, to where the local sheriff would show up at my house every day with lawsuits. And there's this nice woman, she'd come in and she'd say, hey, here are today's lawsuits. I'd give her a hug. Hey, what's up? How you doing? I got sued 100 times. And I learned very quickly about how to win and how to fail, but also what to learn from my failures. And the good thing was, I thought I was going bankrupt. And I actually hired a bankruptcy attorney. And it's the first time my parents had never...
How old are you when you hired a bankruptcy attorney,
16,
bro?
because I was going bankrupt. See, I grew up in a very middle-class family, and I'd never borrowed a penny from my mom or dad. And now I was like, okay, I'm going bankrupt. It's a wrap. Like, you know, not only do I suck at school, I suck at sports, I also suck at business, because now I'm going back. But I got the Porsche, by the way. I did have the Porsche still, okay? And I was actually legal to, at least when I was about to go bankrupt, I was legal to drive it. But I basically hired this bankruptcy attorney, and they're going through everything, and they got these creditors together. We had a creditors meeting with like 50 creditors. These people like growling at me. And the guy said, by the way, how old are you? I said, I'm 16. He said, you know you can't incur debt till you're 18. I said, really? And we actually, the creditors said, hey, if you'd pay me $38,000, they'd settle the debt. And it's the only time I ever went to my parents for money. I said, hey, can I borrow $38,000? And my mom and dad said, look, that's like, you know, basically your college savings for you to go to college. We'll lend it to you on one condition. You have to agree to go to college and give up this dumb business thing. And so, like any deal maker, I made the, you know, I need to give up business to get out of this thing. Done. I'm out of business. Give me the $38,000. And we had one thing happen a few weeks later, which is there was another ski shop that went bankrupt. and they had $200,000 in inventory. And it got auctioned off. And I bought it for $13,000 for 200 grand of inventory. Wow. And so I thought I had a great way to get out of the $38,000 of debt. I just buy this inventory, sell for more money. So I went back to my mom and dad, hey, I just need $13,000 more. And my dad was like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, you think I'm giving you another $13,000?
Right.
Hell no.
Now we at 50.
Well, now, by the way, I thought I was gonna go to jail because I couldn't pay the bank. It was like, now I had to pay the $13,000 off. So I actually went and asked different people, and I found a neighbor who said, look, I'll lend you the $13,000, but you're gonna make a fortune, so I need $1,000 a week interest. And so I borrowed the $13,000 for $1,000 a week interest. So I got the yellow page of this when they had phone books, going through the yellow pages to find different ski shops. Hey, do you wanna buy some of these skis? And actually within 3 weeks, I was able to get the $16,000 I needed to pay this person back and had all of the balance of the inventory. The reason I tell you this story was at 16, I almost went bankrupt, lost it all, and by 18, I was the largest buyer and seller of closeouts in the ski business. And by 21, I was doing over $100 million a year, making over $10 million a year, buying and selling closeout footwear and apparel.
But Rube,
This is
so why
crazy.
would you go to college though? Because like you went to
Well,
school.
Look, I had a very long tenure at college, and I was there for about 3 weeks. I learned all the local bars. I learned how to sit in the car in the parking lot and make, by the way, the phones were like as big as my head. That I had remember this is 32 years ago. And I would literally sit on the phone outside of college and I'd make deals. And I went back to my mom and dad and said, hey, look, bad news is I'm dropping out of college. Good news is paid you back your $38,000, paid for college, I'm out. And that was my experience in college, literally.
It's crazy. You're 16 and you're saying you're thinking. You're talking about bankruptcy. You're talking about debt. You're talking about creditors. 16-year-olds don't learn that. But I see this big-ass Monopoly game over here, like a supersize. You must have had some sort of Monopoly background. Like, where do you get your business acumen from at that age?
You know, for me, like people think I'm being self-deprecating when I say like I was a god-awful student. I was that bad of a student. Like I didn't learn that way. Like my senior year of high school, I missed 70 days. I remember when I graduated high school, my mom and dad went up to the principal and said, did he really graduate? Like, is this diploma real? Did he really graduate? You know, for me, the quality that I always had was street smarts. And so the way I learned was by asking lots of questions. And you know, I see it in you guys already. You guys know how to ask lots of questions, right? You know what? If you use that skill in business, no question's a dumb question. And by the way, even if it is a dumb question, I don't give a shit. I'll still ask it. So I ask anything that's on my mind. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm always asking questions. And that's how I learn. So how did I learn about accounting? I asked questions. By the way, I also never was afraid to fail. Like, I didn't care. Like, to me, you know, if you're fearless and you just keep going for it, yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of failures, you're gonna make mistakes, but then you have big wins that come after that. So for me, all of my learning has been because I've been a sponge. I've been able to get the right people around me, just ask lots of questions and learn.